Hi, guys, it's your girl Booney, and you're listening to a mini episode of the Booney Breakdown podcast. I missed you guys. It's been 2 weeks since we've done a new episode, but I have been working hard on season 2 of the Booney Breakdown podcast, which will be dropping on Monday, September 11th. Yes, season 2 is out Monday, September 11th. I'm really excited. I've taken the feedback that I've received from you guys, from the emails, from the contact form on the booniebreakdown.com, from DMs, and I've tried to curate a really, really good season for season 2. So I've started some of my guest interviews already. We're going to be rocking and rolling with some of our podcast favorites. So we'll have Brian back, and I'll be doing ratchet banter with him. Chrissy and Sheikah will be back to get that homegirl steez. We'll have KG will be back to get the best friend steez with him. So don't fret, all of your favorites will be back for season 2. Also, taking the feedback again and try to find some really great guests to help me tackle some things that I may not be an expert in. So I went and found a subject matter expert. We're going to have some social and political action commentary this season. You guys were really curious about yoni eggs. And I have to admit, I am too. So I found a yoni egg expert. We'll have that on this season. Nutritionist, because I'm a fat girl. There's some other fat girls listening, or fat boys, I don't know, but it was some weird nutrition questions, and I don't know why y'all asking me, because I'm fat. So I definitely went and got an expert on that one. But again, I'm still so receptive to the feedback. So please do not stop sending in anything, because I do consider every single email, contact form, DM that I do receive. Now, speaking of feedback, I dropped a podcast audience survey because I really do like to hear from you, and to entice to get honest feedback, more directed and guided feedback from me that I can use. I have the survey. It's on the booniebreakdown.com. I'll be sure to put it in the show notes, even though I've learned from the survey that people really don't fuck with the show notes either like that. But the link to the survey will be on those two places. And to help, incentivize you to want to give me the feedback, I am giving away a $25 Amazon gift card. So, yeah, just click the link. I think it's like 15 questions, if that. Shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes, and you could win a $25 gift card. So, again, in the show notes is a link, and on the booniebreakdown.com, if you go right now while you're listening to me, as long as you are not driving, and go fill that out. I want to hear from you. Um, I just think, this is going to be a different season for me. Season 1, I you know, just ordered a microphone off of Amazon. And because people kept telling me, you should do a podcast, you should do a podcast, I did a podcast, and there wasn't any really thought into it. It's kind of that one of those things I heard my grandmother's voice when somebody's like, you should do a podcast, and I would respond, I am. And I heard my grandmother, one of her sayings, like, well, am it and do it. And so I did it, and that was season 1. And you guys rocked with me for all 25 episodes. And I looked at my stats. I was reviewing them last week, and I was just blown away by the thousands on thousands on thousands on thousands of downloads the season 1 received. And I'm so kind of speechless, but I really do want to thank you, and I want to thank you for sharing the podcast on your platforms, or an email, or however you chose to share it. I also want to thank you for engaging with me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. If you have still not followed me there, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Booney Breakdown, on Twitter, Booney Breakdown. Again, if you go to the booniebreakdown.com, all of these sites are hyperlinked there. I think even my Pinterest is on thebooniebreakdown.com. But I really do appreciate you guys rocking with me. And I'm not the type of person that badgers people. Definitely my friend circle or my associate circle. I feel like if people want to support you, they're going to support you. So, every now and then I would post something and people chose to opt into listen to this. So I really am just like, wow, you guys really like what we talk about and what I have to say. So thanks. But again, don't stop. Keep using the hashtag the Boonie Breakdown. Keep using the hashtag PodIn, PODIN. That hashtag is one that is owned by Podcast in Color, which is a dope community for podcasters of color. And Barry on Podcast of Color, she's just really dope in giving out great tips and helping people find, indie podcasts and independent podcasts. So that helps me when you use that hashtag. You know, all of my people who listen on Apple devices, on Apple Podcast app, or if you listen on iTunes on your desktop, I really, 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 really would love if you could rate and review the podcast. Be sure to hit those 5 stars, right? And write a little review. I know sometimes it times out on you, but what you would have to do is go into the Apple Podcast app. You click on the search at the bottom. You will need to type in the Boonie Breakdown. And yes, even if you subscribe, this is the only way you can leave a review in Apple Podcasts or in iTunes. Once you type in the Boonie Breakdown, you select it, then the page comes up. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, go ahead and hit subscribe. If not, then you can click the tab that says reviews and then click write review. And that's it. I just said I get thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads, but those little 16 ratings there look so sad. So I would love to see that number grow. That's another way when people are searching for podcasts in the app. If they click on one, it's like related. Other people subscribe to this one. It helps me show up. So, it's a small price to pay. Another way you can help me out, guys, is I had a sponsor this season. And again, I want to thank you guys because you went out and you purchased B Birdwatcher Spiritual Stones jewelry, and she was very pleased with her sponsorship. And I was very nervous about having my first sponsor in that first season, but I did it. And that is one way you can continue to support the show, is by supporting our sponsors. I come out of pocket for this, and I don't ask you guys for money. And so by getting sponsors, that helps me cover the cost of the podcast. And when you support the sponsors, they want to come back and they want to sponsor again. And then I can get more sponsors because I can tell them this sponsor got X amount of sales. So that is a very dope way to support the podcast and the holiday season coming up. So, I think I counted today. I only have like 7 paychecks till Christmas, right? So go ahead and start knocking people off your Christmas list with some of the sponsors we have coming up in season 2. My last thing is I do have a few episodes planned for season 2 where I need your help. You can always feel free to send in a listener question for an Ask Boonie segment. The email is thebooniebreakdown@gmail.com. You can send it in on thebooniebreakdown.com. I will receive it that way as well. So don't you worry. But I need 2 specific asks, and I would love it if you could send in a voice memo, because I think hearing different voices adds another texture to the podcast versus just hearing my voice sometimes. But if you could send in, if you are someone who has had plastic surgery and you feel comfortable talking about it, or so if you feel comfortable talking about it, or you can send it in and say you want to stay anonymous, and I will keep you anonymous. That is fine. And the second thing I'm looking for is if people can email or send in a voicemail if you watch Insecure and tell me who your favorite character is and why. That's it, right? So just send that to thebooniebreakdown@gmail.com. So guys, that is it. Again, oh no. One thing, because I always fuck with my Droid users. Like I fuck with you guys so bad. But I really found a tool because it is much harder to reach Droid users with podcasts. You know, with Apple, you just have the Apple Podcast app, which most Apple users use, or they use iTunes. Which Droid people, you can use that too. If you have an iPad or a MacBook, you can go into iTunes. But on your Samsungs and whatever other Droid products there are, I will be releasing a link where you can just use this code and it'll pull up my podcast in as many of the Droid podcast apps that are out there. So I'll be sure to drop that soon for you guys. So if that's something that you want to do, you can have that option. But again, you can always listen to the podcast on thebooniebreakdown.com and on SoundCloud if you don't have a specific app on your Droid phone. So see, I care about y'all too. I talk shit about y'all, but I care about you. So for me, guys, that is it. Again, don't forget the link is in the show notes and on thebooniebreakdown.com for the audience survey. And season 2 drops on Monday, September 11th. So until next time, guys, bye.